everybody. So I wanted to do a TikTok live today to go through the exciting things that are happening in the world of Stampin' Up. So because it's the 5th of May, there's loads of exciting things happening today, and I actually decided to take today off work so that I could enjoy them and enjoy the time and have a little extra bank holiday. So if you don't know, Stampin' Up is a papercraft company and I absolutely love their products, so much so that I signed up to become a demonstrator. And at the start of each month, exciting things happen. But because today is the 5th of May, the brand new catalogue is launching. And I have got that here with me. And I can now show you, I have been counting down the days to show you the inside of this catalogue. So I do have a couple of the items already here that I got on a pre-order. So the first bundle that I've gone for is the Safari Smiles bundle. So this is stamps and some die cuts if you've got a die cutting machine. And I have to say I wanted this because of the elephants. I just couldn't resist. And then the other bundle that I have done on the pre-order is the balloon festoon. Again, we've got some stamps and then we've got some dies to cut out balloons. And what's really nice about these balloons, I'll just show you, is they're actually in a variety of sizes. So this balloon here has a matching stamp. So this stamp can be cut out with that balloon, but you then have so many more sizes and you can use those for cards. You can actually make cards using the big ones. I thought it would be really nice to do a banner using those. So very, very exciting. And I definitely have more ideas to do with those. I've made one card so far with balloon festoon. And I was thinking, I have so many more ideas of how I want to use these. I just need the time, which I'm sure we can all relate to that. So, like I say, 2 bundles on my demonstrator pre-order. The other thing that's happening at the moment is there's a new product of the month. This was the product of the month for April. And if you've never had this before, this is where you can get a certain product for just £5 when you spend £70 or more in a single online order, which is, it's quite a big spend, I think, all at once. But in April, it was this amazing die cut. And for May, it's a pack of 12 by 12 vellum, which they have called, check my notes, the Berry Botanical Vellum. So it's beautiful, it's printed, you can see it on the website now, that's available to see, and I'll also pop a post up later with a picture of the vellum so that you can see what that looks like. So that's our product of the month. I've touched briefly on the catalogue, I'll loop back round to that in a minute. Also happening today is 2 new kits have been released, which they're spoiling us today. So there is the Serene Scenes kit and the Pretty Party card making kit. These are absolutely fantastic if you've never done any card making before and you wanted to give it a go. The kits are £24 each. There's a large variety of kits on the website. They're just the 2 that are being released today. I've definitely got my eye on the Pretty Party kit. Although I do think I'd class myself as an experienced crafter, sometimes I like to sit down with the kits because I don't have to think about it. And I have the kits there, they come with everything you need, all the adhesive. All you might need to add is a pair of scissors, but everything else is in there. Your cardstock, printed sentiments, it's all ready to go. So I do like using the kits. I don't like to think of it as, excuse me, don't like to think of it as lazy crafting. I don't think that's a helpful thing to do, but I think it is nice to have something available to you if you're tired, if you just want to do some crafting, but don't necessarily know where to start. That's where the kits can be a really good option. So back onto our main event, the catalogue. There is something in here that wasn't available on the pre-order. And the rules are that demonstrators, we get access to the catalogue, but we're only allowed to share items if we have ordered them ourselves and if I have the items with me. So you may have seen I've already done some posts with the balloon festoon bundle because I own that item so I can share it. But we haven't been allowed to share the inside of the catalogue. And there is something in here It wasn't available on the pre-order that I've been desperately wanting to show you, and it probably would have helped if I'd marked the page before I got going. So that item is somewhere in this wonderful catalogue, and it is glitter pens. Yes, you heard that correctly. They have done some glitter brush pens. If anyone's used the Wink of Stella before, that's a sort of clear with silvery glitter brush pen. So you can use that on all of your projects. But they have released a set of glitter brush pens that are the new Stampin' Up in colours for 2026 to 2028. You can find information on the new in colours towards the back of the catalogue on page 79, and I can show you. So this colour here is Hydrangea Hue, and I've actually ordered the ink pad. So there's 5 new colours. Barely Blush, Crisp Cantaloupe, Golden Glow, Peaceful Pine and Hydrangea Hue. So as you can see, Barely Blush, it is a very, very pale pink. We've then got the gold and the cantaloupe, and then the green, pine and Hydrangea Hue. So to start with, I've just ordered one of the ink pads, and that is the Hydrangea Hue shade. Really nice blue colour, and it's in the new style of ink pad, so it's in 2 halves. It's magnetic, it's easy to open, easy to close, and that's a water-based dye ink. Don't worry if you don't know what that means. If you're a crafter who's been doing this for a few years, you'll want to know that it's a water-based dye ink, but if you don't, that's okay. So that's the Hydrangea Hue colour. A little bit different to the, I'm going to call them old style packaging. So that's what we have at the moment, and this is going to be the new packaging. So as you can see, slightly taller. The new packaging starting with the new in colours. So in terms of what else is new, if you've seen the catalogues before, you might be surprised to see that I'm holding something that's portrait. So the way that Stampin' Up previously did catalogues is you'd get a really chunky catalogue called the annual catalogue, and then throughout the year you would get mini catalogues, and the mini catalogues were always landscape, and the annual catalogue was always quite chunky. This is quite a skinny catalogue, but don't worry, Stampin' Up have changed how they're doing the catalogues. So rather than having one big annual catalogue and then a couple of mini catalogues, we're going to have, I want to say it's 3 catalogues a year. They're all going to be about this size, they're all going to be this orientation. I'm still able to ship them out to you for free if you would like, so nothing changing there. And they've changed the layout inside, so if you've used the catalogues before, you might be thinking, oh, I'm not sure about this, but actually I really like what they've done. So they've done a whole page on the new in colours, which is there, and then they've done some items as usual with the in colours, so you can get some cardstock, you can get the stamping pads as a bundle, you can get some little elements, there's some dots and some butterflies that stick on, and there's some designer series paper. And then they've also done the shimmer brush pens, which I'm going to talk about them again because, oh my goodness me. So they weren't available on the demonstrator pre-order, but I need them now. So they are £9.50 each, so they're not the cheapest, but as ever, they're in the coordinating colours. So I'm definitely going to get the Hydrangea Hue one because that will match my ink pad, which I think is really valuable, particularly when you're crafting and you want to coordinate your colours. They've also done a couple of new stamping spot assortments, and I'm excited about that because the ink pads can get pretty pricey, and the stamping spot assortments allow you to build up your collection of colours without buying full-size ink pads. So I have quite a variety here, you know, I have my full-size inks. Old Olive, it's a colour I use a lot, so I have it as a full-size ink. But then I bought a pack of the stamping spots from the previous catalogue, and I've got a nice collection now building up of different colours. Yeah, so I've got These have come from one Stamping Spot assortment, and then some of them have come from the kits. So some of the kits actually come with ink, which is really, really good. Again, particularly if you're just new to crafting and you just want to have a go at doing something without spending loads of money. The kits are also really good as gifts. If you know someone who wants to try crafting and doesn't have any other materials, they're a great option. So let's talk about some of the new sweet collections that have been launched in the catalogue. You can go and check out the online exclusives. They're available to view for the public now. Online exclusives come in about every couple of months. As the name suggests, they're online only, so you can view those online. They're not in a printed catalogue. And I think as a paper crafter, there is something quite special about having a paper catalogue in your hands. So we have got 7 new kits in this catalogue, and this catalogue runs until August. So you have 3 months, possibly more, to purchase the items, but we can sort of only say they'll be in stock for the period of the catalogue, which I was a little bit like, with the annual catalogue, people had time to save up for things. So I was a bit nervous about the change. But they have said that at least one of these sweets will be available for a year. So I can get you the information on which one that is. I haven't got it written down on my notes for this, but I can confirm for you if you'd like to know. So we have 7 sweets. We have Bloom Boutique, Waterside Retreat, Valley and Bloom, Scenic Coast, Beautiful Ordinary Life, Velvet Meadow, and Moonlit Flora. So there we go. Nice page summarising those for us. That is on page 15. And if you don't want a physical catalogue, like I say, I'm happy to send them out to people. But if you don't want a physical one, there is an online one that you can view. So I will pop a link somewhere in a description or in my bio, so you don't have to contact me, because that can be really cringy, can't it? If you're just curious about something but don't want to spend money, it's really awkward reaching out to someone. So I'll make sure there's a link that you can just go and quietly view if you want to have a look and don't want to talk to someone, because trust me, I get it. So I think my favourite, and I don't like to pick favourites, but I think my favourite sweet that they have released in this catalogue is possibly going to be Scenic Coast. So just a quick look for you there. I like this paper and the different colours that are in there. And they're very me, those colours as well. The pinks, the purples blended together, a bit of dark blue. They've also done some really nice sequin dots that stick on. So I think that might be my favourite. And the colours that are used in there is Gorgeous Grape, which is one of my favourite ink colours. I've got the ink pad somewhere. And it's also Crushed Curry, which is a really bright yellow. So I like that. I'm very fond of those colours. So that's the sweets. We then have the bundles. So this is good if you have a die cutting machine. This is going to be something that might interest you. You can get the stamp sets, you can get the dies that go with it, and you get a little bit of a discount for purchasing them together. So completely without meaning to, I bought 2 bundles and I didn't buy a sweet in the pre-order. I loved these 2 so much, and I actually bought them both as bundles. So there we go. I didn't really mean to. It kind of arrived and was like, haven't got any of the sweets. Only ordered one of the ink pads. I was like, there's a few things missing from this. But I will be doing another order today, of course. So the bundles start on page 36, and it talks you through what you can get. There are normally 2 things in the bundles. It looks like they're pretty much all stamp and die sets, but there is one that comes with a punch. So if you don't have a die cutting machine, I do want to draw your attention to this one here, which is the Banner Sayings bundle. So this is a stamp set and a punch. So you just need your ink, your stamp block, some cardstock, and this bundle. That's all you would need. That is £36.75 when you purchase them together, which I think that's pretty good. There's Happy Birthday, I'm so grateful, you did it. So you've got a nice range of sentiments there. And then the banner punch. And that's it. That's you sorted. If you're new to card making and you're not really sure where to begin, that's good that you've got sentiments and a way to nicely cut those sentiments out to go onto your card. The other thing, I'm going to go back in the catalogue while I'm talking about sentiments. The other thing that Stampin' Up are doing is what they're calling quick and easy options with mix and match ephemera. And they have done a range, I know it's very, very small, but they've done a range of sort of elements and sentiments. And these come as pop-outs. I have got some of those somewhere. So here is one of the sheets after I popped the elements out. So a nice little rectangle. There was a deck chair, and I have used some of these as well from the first sheet. So smaller pieces, and these are really good for scrapbooking or card making. There's no sort of set project to use them on. You sort of can use them on what you feel like. So I went for the one that sort of had a little beach theme. And what I didn't realise when I first got these, which perhaps I should have done, that shows how little I read descriptions, these are actually sticky backed. So I was there with my glue, adding glue on, but actually there's a line along the back. If you bend it slightly, that then peels up and is a sticker. So I was a little bit like, oh, I didn't know that, which, like I say, if I'd read the description, I would have known. But I thought that was really smart, that you don't need anything. Make your card base, get your mix and match ephemera, and have a go at card making, which if you've never done it before, you don't know if it's a hobby that you're going to like. You don't know how much money you want to spend on this if you just want to try something. So they're on page 12, and there are two sort of elements. There's a classic label pack, and then greetings for all mix and match ephemera, which is your sentiments there. So I'm going to go back to the bundles. I do apologise for jumping around. I have looked through this so many times and I just keep seeing more things each time I look. I'm like, oh, there's this as well. So, stamping positioner. This is new. You may have seen this a couple of months ago. It was available as an offer for joining, or it was available as a pre-order for demonstrators. I didn't actually go for it because I already have a stamping platform, but it now has its own page in this catalogue. So if you don't have a stamping platform and you're starting to get into crafting and card making, that might be something you want to consider. We then have some standalone stamp sets, and you can buy the you can buy the balloon festoon on its own. You don't need to buy the matching dies. Again, same for the Safari Smiles. That comes just as a stamp set. You don't need to get the dies to cut it out. You can just get the stamps. So there's quite a few stamp sets. Again, it can be really hard to choose from ones. A particular one I'd like to highlight is the alphabet stamps. Very useful if you don't already have those. You can pretty much spell out anything you want to. Happy birthday, thank you, congrats, whatever you need to say. Really good for those rare sentiments, like baby, graduate. A lot of us don't have those in our stash, but if you have alphabet dies, you can spell whatever you need to. So they're really good. They're £23, which I don't think is too bad at all. So we then have a section with just the dies in there. Again, things like the balloon festoon dies, they do come on their own. You don't have to buy the stamps to go with. And I think a die set like this would work really well on its own without the stamps. You could still do a lot if you just bought one or the other. So again, if you're trying to keep those pennies under control, stick to a budget. Which, let's face it, it's hard when you're presented with something like this on the 5th of May and you're literally like, oh my goodness, I don't know where to start. So again, there is party alphabet dies. Good for spelling, but they are quite expensive, and I've ummed and ahed about getting them. But they're quite a decent size. They're really good for making banners. People have used them with the party banners. But I haven't bought those because I have some alphabet stamps, and the cost I felt was a bit bit too much, but they're on my wish list. We then have, I call them boring basics, which probably isn't good. It's probably not a good way to refer to them, but you need these. If you want to get more into card making, you need at least one of these. So there is the Stylish Shapes and Nested Essentials dies, and I actually have both of those. There's also some circles and some arches. That's the everyday arches. I've seen amazing things made with those. But the Stylish Shapes and the Nested Essentials, I don't know how I crafted without them. So here's the Stylish Shapes. I put them on a magnetic sheet to try and keep them in place. Because they've got circles and banners, I use those a lot. The other one that I use a lot is the Nested Essentials dies. Again, I pop them onto a magnetic sheet just to keep them all organised. But they're really useful for if you are stamping a sentiment and not knowing how you're going to cut it out. So I would say if you're getting more into card making, have a look on those. They're on page 60 of the new catalogue. We then have our punches. Very useful if you don't want to invest in a die cutting machine, you don't already have one. Have a look at the circle punches. They're a really good alternative to the die cutting machine and the dies. There's also a rounded rectangle, which I really like. Yes, you could use your trimmer, cut out a rectangle, and then you could potentially get a punch that rounds the corners off for you. But that's a rounded rectangle. It's one punch, you have your shape, which I do. I find that quite appealing. We then move on to the designer series paper. The artisan sketched garden paper. I have seen some amazing things done with this one. I was a bit put off at first. I was like, black and white paper, why do I want that? But I've seen people colour it in, do shading. There's really amazing things that people have done with that. So I think I might have to add that to my next order. There's loads of paper really. I won't go through it. Everyone's going to have sort of different tastes. So I've really enjoyed looking at all the paper and trying to decide. I say trying. I've bought one pack so far from this catalogue, but I know that there is more in my future order for today. We then go on to sort of talking about ordinary paper, envelopes, card bases, all of those things that are pretty useful to have in. And then there is another section on the mix and match and memory keeping items. Really nice memory keeping items from Stampin' Up now, which I've tried to do scrapbooking. I said at the start of the year I was going to do one spread per month and I was going to put it on YouTube to hold myself accountable, and I think I've posted January and February, and then March didn't really happen, and now we're in May, so I should be doing April, but it's not happening for me. I love all the scrapbooking stuff. I want to do more scrapbooking. I just never seem to get myself in a position to do it. So, page 72, embellishments. Oh my goodness, sparkly gems. I am a crafty magpie. So, shimmering dots, adhesive backed metallic gems, sunset sparkle sequins. Yes, please, I want them all. So the lovely Julie from the Paper Haven actually sent me the sunset sparkle sequins, and they're somewhere on my absolute mess of a desk, and I've already used them and I love them. I think I'm going to get the shimmering dots because they're really nice. And then there's also antique pearls, which are a really nice sort of, well, pearl colour, but I think you could do a lot with those. Adhesives. Potentially boring. It's not the most thrilling thing in the catalogue, but it's very, very useful, and it's quite important to get it right. I cannot tell you how many foam pads I went through from different brands. I think I must have tried hundreds of different foam pads. All the high street shops that you can think of in the UK that sell adhesives, if they do a foam pad, I've tried it. And then I tried some of the Stampin' Dimensionals. I didn't buy them at first because I was like, oh, I've got my foam pads from such and such a place. I don't need to spend more money on more foam pads. Then I tried the Stampin' Dimensionals, and I will never go back to to anything else. And I promise I'm not just saying that. I am going to be saying this for the whole time that Stampin' Up sell them, even if I'm no longer a demonstrator, I promise you, because the backs peel off easily. And, you know, if you've used some of those cheaper foam pads, you will know what I mean about the backs. They don't come off. You're there, you're trying to put your nail underneath, you're thinking, how can I get this to just peel off? Then I use the dimensionals and it just peels off. So I don't know what witchcraft they have put into the stamping dimensionals that mean the backs just peel off, but my goodness, they do. There is also the tear and tape adhesive. Again, double-sided tape where the back actually peels off. Literally did not think that was a thing. They do some tape runners as well, which I love with my chronic illness. My claw hands love a tape runner. So that's your adhesives. Then we have tools and inks, pretty self-explanatory, stamping blocks, stamping platforms, paper trimmers, scoring boards, scoring bone folders, all those things that if you want to step up your crafting game are probably worth looking at. Brayers, embossing, items, heat tools, all of that sort of thing. I've already gone over the stamping spots, really good option for beginner crafters to create your colour selection so that you're not just using black ink. I don't know how long I used. I think when I started crafting, I was probably using the same 3 colours of ink for about 3 years. I had a black and I think I had a red and a silver. And all of my cards used those colours and that was it. But the stamping spots, you get 5 in a pack. So it's a nice way to have a bit of variety with what you're doing. And also with my red, it felt very Christmassy. It was a Christmas ink that I just picked up somewhere. So building a collection of colour. Like I say, I've actually gone the route of using the stamping spots rather than buying full-size ink pads, because full-size ink pads, it adds up quickly, particularly if you want to get some blue, some green, a bit of yellow, a bit of purple, a bit of pink. If you want all of those and you're buying full-size ink pads, it really adds up. So do have a look at the new stamping spot assortments that are in this catalogue. They've changed up the assortments, so there's still 2 assortments, but they've got different colours of ink in there. Our Wink of Stella glitter brush pen hasn't gone anywhere. That's still in the catalogue, I'm pleased to say. And I might actually need to buy a new one because my Crafty Magpie style has used my Wink of Stella on all of my cards pretty much this year. And it's actually running out, which is crazy because it's huge. It comes with a lot of ink, but I just use it too much. I love it. Like I say, I will be getting the shimmer brush pens. Oh my goodness. I hope they're in stock now. They said that they should be in stock by the 5th of May. So I hope I haven't also left it too late in the day as well. So I'm going to look for those. Definitely going to get myself the hydrangea hue to match my ink pad. And then getting towards the back of the catalogue now, where Stampin' Up lists out all of the colours, the colour collection that they're part of, and what products you can get. So you can get full-size A4 cardstock, you can get 12 by 12 cardstock, the ink pads, ink refills, and the stamping blends. I'm going to touch on stamping blends very, very quickly. I'd never used them before. And when I did my order in April, I bought myself these grey ones to go with my elephants. And I didn't really understand what all the fuss was about. I didn't understand why you needed 2 markers. I'd only ever used 1 alcohol marker at a time. And I have to say, these are very, very creamy. And I've had a lot of fun playing around with them so far. So I need to get myself some more colours of these because grey isn't enough anymore for me. So I'll definitely be getting some of my favourite colours. Probably going to get the hydrangea hue. Probably going to get a green. I've got to get a pink or a purple, obviously. And red is quite a versatile colour as well. But I'll see. I haven't quite decided yet which ones I'm going to go for. So colour collections are in the back as normal, which I have to say I'm very glad as. I am a demonstrator, but I really struggle sometimes to say, oh, that set of paper is using Old Olive. What might go nicely with that? And then I find Old Olive on here. I can see that it's part of the Regals collection. And then I think, oh, I might try it with Gorgeous Grape and see what that looks like. So I do really appreciate this section in the back. I find it very useful to refer to. And then we have an index, and that is it for our May to August catalogue. So I'm so glad that I've been able to share this with you. I've literally been waiting and waiting and waiting for the 5th of May to come along so that I could share it. I made my list before I came on my note paper that I created for myself. And yeah, I'm just really glad that I've been able to show you this today. I'm off to spend the rest of the day crafting because I'm on annual leave, so it doesn't get much better than that, does it? I'm quite excited for that. All afternoon I've done all my life admin over the bank holiday weekend, so I can spend the afternoon card making, which, yeah, what can I say? And I'm also going to do another cheeky order and see if I can get myself those shimmer brush pens. So thank you very much if you've been watching along. Please consider giving me a follow. I share all my crafty creations. As I said, I'm a crafty magpie, so if it's got glitter, if it's got sparkle, then that is me, and those are the cards that I like to create. Thank you. Bye.